My name is Blake Oines. I'm going to be discussing aviation with you today. We are going to be looking at rising ethical issues dealing with new technology in the air traffic control or ATC sector of aviation within the United States National Airspace System, NAS. Emerging technology within this field will be broken down hereafter into simple knowledge. With this rudimentary understanding of new technology, you will be able to comprehend the ethical issues that arise. Issues that occur now or will occur in the future will be discussed and viewed from both a deontological and consequentialist point of view. With the virtue of ethics in mind, I will pose a policy for addressing the ethical issues that result from the new technology. Upfront big acronyms to remember are going to be FAA, which stands for Federal Aviation Administration, and ATC, which stands for Air Traffic Control. First, onto the new technology to gain a simple understanding of it and better understand the system as a whole. We're going to look at Next Generation Air Transportation System, NextGen, En route Automation Modernization, ERAM, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, ADSB, Standard Terminal Automation Replacement System, STARS, and System-Wide Information Management, SWIM. Understanding the first one, NextGen, will paint a broad picture of the air traffic control system as a whole. The four other new systems all incorporated together to make up this NextGen system. This system is not one technology, product, or goal, but is described by the FAA as the modernization effort that encompasses innovation and transformative technologies that are being developed and implemented. On to the other four, starting with ERAM, which is the En route Automation Modernization. This is an FAA ATC system that is formulated to take on everything within the next generation system. Without this computing system, the modernization of aviation within the next gen would not be possible. James Benjamin, the ERAM program manager with the FAA, stated that the ERAM technology is the heart of the next generation air transportation system and the pulse of the National Airspace System, helping to advance our transition from a ground-based system of air traffic control to a satellite-based system of air traffic management. The next Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, ADSB, is a satellite-based system that relays position of an aircraft on the ground or in the air to air traffic controllers all over the country in real time. Additionally, ADSB is now mandatory for aircraft flying within controlled airspace. This can be found in number 14, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 91, Section 227. This new technology is superior when compared to old delayed radar technology that would be obtained by aircraft's position through means of circle sweeping motion with the radar. The FAA describes this technology as a real-time precision, shared situational awareness, and advanced applications for pilots and controllers alike. This system also makes it possible for the Standard Terminal Arrival Automatic Replacement System, or STARS. As described on the fact sheet by the FAA, STARS gives controllers a complete precision picture of the airspace, enabling them to manage aircraft they are tracking using the ADSB. You can think of these two systems going hand in hand but still being under the umbrella of NextGen. Lastly, we have SWIM, which is System-Wide Information Management, and the basic of this system is designed to sync aviation information from all users around the world, making data effectively manageable from different systems alike. More so, it's the link in the chain to the rest of the world. So now that we've gotten that out of the way and we understand the basics of the ATC system and how the next generation system is set up as a whole, we can use this knowledge to identify and look at ethical issues that result from the implementation of the next-gen ATC system. The ATC system is old and in need of modernization into the current technology era. The president has spoken on this issue by saying our air traffic control system is out of date, and that affects the general public in many ways. This includes safety, delays, and loss of money. That was Trump 2019. With this revamp, ethical issues related to the new aviation technologies occur. Humans make a lot of mistakes and miscalculations, especially under critical and stressful situations. This poses risks in the field, and the FAA is constantly inventing new ways to mitigate it. By moving to the next-gen system, the FAA is taking ATC from ground-based system of air traffic control to satellite-based system of air traffic management. Moving away from air traffic control professionals to computer management specialists, aviation as a whole is starting to go down a more simplistic road, away from the need for human intervention. A simple path is good, however, this path is where our ethical issues find their footing. Right off the bat, this possesses an interesting question. At what point is ATC training going to be jeopardized, and when in the future will an air traffic controller no longer need to be controlling aircraft? A controller goes through rigorous training to be fully certified and work alone. Through this, through this training process, the controller learns all the rules and regulations, but more than that, they learn how to make sound ethical decisions in a matter of seconds. That could mean the difference between life and death. Now that we are using this new system, if certification training starts to be threatened and controllers get moved towards computer management, they will no longer be able to perform the duty of making solid time critical calls. The individual will likely be a virtuous human and have respectable moral character, yet they could still make a wrong decision on the movement of aircraft within the sky. A decision that a computer-generated system is making, but is indeed wrong. This lateral transition in aviation technology will raise ethical dilemmas when regarded from the general flying public. It is likely, in my personal speculation, that a portion of the people in the general public will not agree with a computer being in control of their safety in the sky without the possibility of human override to alter a decision. The complete next-gen system is great, but it is vital to remember that its creation has formed ethical questions in regards to the need for highly trained professionals. Ethical questions also extend to the future of ATC system. Now let's look at a situation in the future where this can hold true. In aviation, one must be willing and ready to make a decision based on the theory of deontology. There are many rules and regulations that the industry must adhere to set out by the FAA. Still, in almost every regulation, there is a statement that says the following: good judgment must be used in prioritizing all the other provisions of this order based on the requirements of the situation at hand. That is found in the FAA 7110.65, or us controllers like to call it the Bible. This moves the decision-making process from a consequentialist realm to a different one. The next generation system, however, limits this consequentialist decision-making and is instead taken over by a computer system and subsystem. As I mentioned before, with controllers learning how to make these ethical consequentialist decisions through years and years of training, it is now important to notice that this is slowly falling to the wayside. The field is starting to rely on computer software more than specialized skills of an air traffic controller to keep the sky harmless. To me, the main question this brings up is, at what point does this endanger flying safety, or at what point do we hit a singularity where air traffic controllers are no longer needed or in command? With this new technology, what happens when something goes awry? From a computer-based consequentialist decision leading to an aviation mishap or accident, taking control away from a qualified air traffic controller will cause many future ethical issues. Moving to a hypothetical that high points this issue of taking the ethical decisions away from humans, the satellite-based system of ADS-B that powers ERAM and STARS could be shut down with a single solar flare. A solar flare scientist by the name of Leon Crane said, if an enormous solar flare, like the one that hit 150 years ago, struck today, it could not knock out our electrical grid, satellite communication, and the internet. Without the heart of the next-gen system, the system cannot function and consequently is rendered useless. With the implementation of this new system now being mandatory, what are we going to do if we find ourselves not being able to use it? It becomes clear that an ethical issue arrives from this paradox. The next-gen structure has a simple utilitarianism bearing by producing the greatest good for the most people. Nevertheless, when we look at this issue from a deontological point of view, it appears that putting all our trust into this equipment is not the right act to take. So, should we continue down this path, moving to an air traffic management and away from air traffic control in general, we too lose the ability to step in and make the appropriate judgments in the circumstance that the system flops. It will still be many years before controllers lose this ability, but I believe it is not something that we can overlook. A controller that is no longer qualified to control is simply not an air traffic controller, and a computer system manager that monitors a system is not either. For this reason, we need to look at putting a policy in place. A policy I've developed for this issue first starts with the government continuing to oversee the aviation field. This oversight allows the FAA to keep the sector from being privatized, hence making it easier to implement new policies, rules, and regulations that directly benefit the general flying public. This will directly benefit aviation in the form of increasing safety. The core of my recommendation is a set of 4 rules that can easily be expanded upon and tailored to as appropriate. Should the rules and the policy change, it is important to remember that the end goal of keeping the flying sky safe with air traffic controllers and air traffic managers as opposed to removing ATC as the final authority. Rule number 1, the training minimums, time pre-requirements, and screening to be an air traffic controller and work autonomously remain the same. This rule will ensure that controllers will still be able to make consequentialist decisions by using the virtue of ethics in time-sensitive, high-stress, critical situations. Rule number 2, an air traffic controller must be a controller first and a manager second. This means that a controller's primary duty lies with controlling aircraft first and managing a system second. The air traffic organization policy states that an air traffic controller's duty priority is give first priority to separating aircraft and issuing safety alerts. This duty priority cannot be lost. Rule number 3, training qualifications and progression through the industry must not be shortened. Each facility that already has qualified professionals that they go to must still enter a training program until certified at that specific location. This ensures that they can safely and effectively perform the duties of all the positions as an air traffic controller. After this, they can be a location-based add-on position for air traffic management. The final rule, rule number 4, this rule derives from my view of disagreeing with moving away from ATC to the air traffic control management. There is already a sector of air traffic control management within the ATC field. The final rule is that air traffic managers must be previous senior air traffic controllers moving to the management sector. This rule ensures that we are not reducing the need for rated controllers within the facility, and additionally making sure that personnel within the air traffic management sector are still able to make appropriate decisions based on years of experience. Overall, these 4 rules create an easy-to-follow policy that I have named the Air Traffic Control Next Generation Ethical Initiative. This policy will create the most good for the most people using rules from a simple deontological point of view, making it a reasonable utilitarianism policy. I hope you have all learned something interesting about air traffic control and the rising ethical issues with the new system that is being implemented. Although change is necessary, we have to remember not to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes we can lose something or we can go too far. Thank you everyone for your time.